guess welcome to our new park.
Phil.
Hopefully we'll see more people using the facilities here now that they've been refinished. So thank you, Howard, and Council.
Thank you for your hard work getting us this set up like this today. Very nice.
And everybody better eat.
Yeah, lots of food.
I turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming today. This is a great pleasure. Something that I take great amount of pride in. I know that other board members do also. And there's a lot of people that were involved with getting this park back to this position and getting it fixed up. And I'd like to just recognize a few of them and have them say a couple words. Actually, what I'd like to do, I'd like to start by letting you know what this property was in the past, but I think it's fascinating. And Bob, could I just ask you to just set the stage of what this was 30, 40 years ago? Bob Anderson is part of the family that owned the property. And I appreciate you coming by today.
Thank you. You'll have to help me a little bit because you get senior moments, but this was a 52-acre farm that my father-in-law bought about 1974. My brother-in-law was in Vietnam at the time, and the big farmhouse that's up there, the white farmhouse, that was the farmhouse for the property, and it was subdivided out when he bought it. And now you can help me a little bit. The woman that starred in the movie The Birds lived there. And her daughter was Melanie Griffin. And they stayed there, they lived there for a few years. Well, we planted 13,000 hemlocks in the ground over here. The bad land that we didn't dig, we planted Christmas trees. And then the other land that was available, we rented to Mr. Hanker. Hanker had 23.9 acres. We had 52 acres, approximately 175 acres of Westmoreland Sanctuary. And for a lot of you guys that live in Huntwood, between Mianus River, Hanker's Corn, Winkler's Hemlocks, and the landscaping that they did in Huntwood made perfect deer habitat and fed the great deer, and a lot of people used to come and hunt with archery here. The road that starts at the circle at the top, that's the Winkler Farm road, that comes down this way, my brother-in-law had an FAA approved runway, and he used to take off downhill. He did trim the oak trees to clear the oak trees. He'd come in over Westmoreland Sanctuary and then dip down and land uphill. Hergahan Court is named after Chief Hergahan, who my father-in-law and brother-in-law had a very good relationship with. And Robin Lane, at the time when they named streets, you weren't allowed to name streets after anybody. That's changed since, but that's named after my niece, Robin Winkler. So when we decided to sub the land, rather than pay the subdivision fees to the town, my father-in-law gave the town, actually he gave the town 2 acres and then additional 2 acres with the provision that that land will always be accessible to the Banksville Fire Department for a water source should there be a fire close to here. As you know, there's no municipal water. And if you go through and look at all the houses, when we subdivided, we took a lot of those trees and planted them on the property line, so it looks like those houses have been here for a long, long time, but they haven't. And I think that there's 1, 2, 3, I think out of the 20 houses, there's still 8 original people that live here out of 20. And then of the other houses, this house has changed hands 3 times. But of the other houses, they've only changed hands twice. If you have a question.
Thank you, Bob. That's.
Oh yeah. One other thing, we had the ground is really, really fertile. and there's some great topsoil here. But underneath the topsoil goes about that deep, and then we hit sand and gravel. And back there, we dug a trench about 12, 14 feet wide, and it went down like this, so we had a back wall of about 10 feet. And that was the North Castle Police shooting range. So they did not have to go down to the county range to qualify. They used to come here and shoot. And then there were other people. The other thing that recreational-wise, we used to have a charcoal grill over here, and we would snowmobile in the wintertime up and down the runway and around the trees. And if you had a snowmobile, you were welcome to come. And if you didn't have a snowmobile, then you would bring hamburgers and hot dogs, and they would cook. And if I had a snowmobile and Howard didn't, I'd let him use my snowmobile, and he brought the hamburgers, and we used to get 25, 30 people, Schultz's Donuts and Schultz's cider milk. That was a really fun place in the wintertime when my kids were 6 and 7 and 8, a long time ago. But this is wonderful, and I know my father-in-law would be very happy. He was an avid fisherman, and he loved the outdoors. He was on the rec board for a long time, and it's a very nice job that the town has done and the recreation department has done. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. I don't believe any money has been spent on this park since the day it was donated to us. So this is really a real turnaround. And actually, John Cronin and I came over here, about 9 months ago, John. We took a tour of the park, and the tennis courts were practically black with mildew. There was cracks in them. The basketball courts weren't much better. The children's apparatus was in bad repair. It was sand underneath it, which is no longer approved by OSHA. The parking lot had mud puddles and tree holes or tree potholes in it. If you probably remember, there was a couple of really big old beech trees out here with roots that you couldn't even walk on the ground here. So the park really has had every aspect of it redone. So it's, in all intents and purposes, it's not only as good as it was before, in my opinion, because now we've had the addition of a wonderful fishing dock by our Eagle Scout project. It's actually better. So, and Joe and the rec board was tremendously supportive of us during all this activity, and I just want to thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Howard. I can't thank Howard enough, because this was a 2-year project for the rec board, and when we brought it up to Howard and John, they gave us so much support. They came out. It was the first time that a town supervisor that I knew came out to a site and looked at the park and said, this is really worth saving. So Howard, John, and the rest of the town board, we thank you very much for spending the time, the energy, and funds to create this for all our good community. Thank you, Howard. Thank you again.
John.
Thank you.
John, why don't you come on out and say a little better, because John Cronin was actually one of the spearheads of this project, and well, I wasn't able to crack the whip as this was being done. John was here constantly making sure that things kept moving. So,
well, my son plays basketball over here, so I had some motivation to do it. But I think it's important, you know, in addition to trying to manage the town the right way, and ensuring that we, you know, the infrastructure, the roads, and those things are well cared for. I think you know, we need to focus on the parks. People move here for a variety of reasons. We have an excellent school system, and for a long time we were known for having very low taxes. And I think we have beautiful parks, and I just think that we haven't done enough over the years to reinvest in those. But we have a very aggressive program in terms of fixing the parks. We've got a number of projects that will be completed, you know, I'm certain before I leave the board. So it's, I'm excited about that. I think, you know, a lot of the things we have teed up are really great, and this actually turned out better than I could have hoped, and I'm sure the community up here is really going to enjoy it for many years. So thanks.
Thanks, John. Thanks. As I mentioned, one of our big additions has been a new fishing dock. So with that, I'd like to have Teddy Kreutzer come out. And Teddy was the Eagle Scout wannabe that did the project, and this was his Eagle Scout project. And I have to admit, and probably Ted's going to say in the speech, but it was kind of my idea to have a fishing dock because everybody knows how much I like to fish. And I also felt that having a handicap accessible Wounded Warrior type of facility might be a real draw for our town also. But Teddy, thank you so much for the great job. And I know you want to say a couple words.
I prepared a speech for today. It's short, so don't take too much of your time. First of all, I'd like to say good afternoon and thank you all for coming. My name is Teddy Kreutzer, and I'm a senior at Byron Hills High School. And I've lived in North Castle for my entire life. This past summer, I planned and supervised the building of the wheelchair accessible fishing dock for my Eagle Scout project for Armonk Scout Troop 94. And I could not have done it alone. Last spring, Supervisor Arden suggested this dock when he knew I was looking for an Eagle project. I thought it was a great idea, but I have to admit I was a little intimidated at the scale. However, Adam Kaufman, the town planner, and John Kellard and his office staff were all very generous with their time and expertise. They all worked with me to create a design and push through the permit so my family, friends, and fellow scouts could help me build the dock. I would also like to thank all of my scout friends and families who donated funds, time, sweat, and tools to help get the dock built in the heat of July. Supervisor Arden and Councilman John Cronin allowed the Parks Department to redirect their work so I could get my work started in a timely fashion. Even Supervisor Arden loaned us his portable generator when ours broke down due to overuse. Again, thank you to all of you, and I'm proud and honored to have been able to give back to my town and enhance the park in this way. I hope this dock allows many more of our residents, both young and old alike, to fish here for many years to come. Thank you.
Before you leave, Teddy, one funny story is that, of course, I recommended this project and was pushing it, and finally Teddy agreed it was a great project, and he started to plan for it, and they were pretty far along. I had this terrible thought. I'd never fished in this pond, so I didn't know if there was any fish. So I said, I better figure this out. So I came down one evening about 6 or 7 o'clock, and I went down, and it was all just trees along there. You couldn't get to the pond except for on a rock. And I went down the pond, and I started casting out there, and right away I was catching bass. I think I caught 6 bass in about 20 minutes. I said, phew, thank goodness, it's going to be successful. So that was a funny sidelight to this, but then I found afterwards from Bob Anderson that the pond actually was stocked way back. So it's actually quite good fishing, and I've heard several reports from young families, families with young children since then, that they've had a lot of luck. So it's a great facility. So one funny story to go along with that. Thanks, Teddy. That was great.